You see, Wolverine is most notably known for a couple things. Possibly one of the biggest are the set of metal claws that line his wrist and entire skeleton, otherwise known as adamantium. Now, what if instead that skeleton started to turn on him and try to control him? Well, that's exactly what we see here. But my name is AJ here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So right now, Logan is not where he usually would be, in New York or wherever with the rest of the X-Men. He just took a little trip to Canada to be free, away from the world and all the excursions that in the hero life. But still, he is drawn back to it, as currently he is taking care of and trying to help a kid infected with a Wendigo curse, turning said kid into a giant bloodthirsty creature. But even while Logan is here at this cabin, his radio that he has goes off, telling him that somewhere near, people need help. There is someone attacking, and Logan, being a former hero, or not even former, he still is the Wolverine, he can't just sit by and relax when people are in need. Unfortunately for Logan, as he gears up and gets ready to go off, this is the exact worst situation he could be going to, because immediately while he's there and sees all the destruction and chaos raining down, he eventually finds the culprit in a D-list villain named the Constructor. Now, he isn't too important, but what is important is what his gear is, what he is powered by: adamantium. As you know, that's the same thing within Logan's bones, coating his entire skeleton, letting him have his famous iconic metal claws, virtually indestructible. And of course, when a hero meets a bad guy doing bad guy things, they inevitably come to a fight, as Logan rushes in, immediately getting the upper hand, because as we find out, this Constructor isn't really cracked up to be a top tier villain or even that particularly special, but at the same time, he does have adamantium whips, and when they connect, which inevitably they do to Logan, it hurts badly. And with Logan eventually just having enough, he goes indirectly to try to end his fight, even cutting through an entire car to get the Constructor, who at this point has given up, largely seeing that he is beat, and just pleading with Logan to calm down, not to take it this far. As Logan gears up, looking like he is about to cut into him, at the last second he hits just near his head, but the Constructor, still just from shock, passes out, which Logan pretty easily took him down, but the Constructor is never a powerhouse in the first place, so Logan had this in the bag regardless. But this isn't what the real trouble is, and what I said before, this is the worst situation for Logan. It is what we see just shortly after. But for now, of course, with Logan being an X-Men, he calls up Nightcrawler to come and teleport in when he can to help him get an assessment of the situation in an ambulance for the Constructor and the other people he's hurt. And with the fight over and rescue coming, his adrenaline starts to go down. That is until he catches a very specific scent. A scent that makes his adrenaline and heartbeat skyrocket. And no, it's not the scent of something, but someone. Because as we find out, it's Lady Deathstrike, who herself having a pretty long history with Wolverine, going back to him within the Weapon X program, getting his own adamantium planted within him. Slowly, we start to see a connection between everything that's going on. Somehow, adamantium is in the center and crossroads of everything. But while Lady Deathstrike is here, she's a very skilled and deadly warrior. But she usually isn't this quiet, something Logan even suspects and thinks it's wrong. And with them taking a little bit of a tussle, getting in some hand-to-hand combat, just then Lady Deathstrike pops her adamantium talons, or at least that's what they should have been. Instead here, they are some sort of gold color, not the normal silver that adamantium should be, which just confuses Logan and sets him up for distraction, as Lady Deathstrike is able to get a good hit in. And with Logan momentarily down, he realizes that whatever has taken a hold of Lady Deathstrike has made her stronger, more powerful than ever before, and we see direct consequences of this as she holds the Constructor by his neck. And suddenly something starts to happen, something very disturbing and grotesque, as seemingly he starts to be infected. Lady Deathstrike, or at least whatever is controlling her, is spreading. And after she is done, Lady Deathstrike then turns her attention to Logan. But as we will find out as she finally opens her mouth to speak, it isn't her voice that comes out, but something way more powerful and way more ancient. With her reaching out, or this entity controlling her, putting Logan in some sort of trance, as the same process that seemingly infected the Constructor starts to work its magic on Wolverine. And here we can see the connection, obviously, with all three of them having only one thing in common: adamantium, the very durable and almost indestructible metal. But here, this gold substance, whatever this may be, and we will soon find out, it isn't just an inanimate object. No, it is very sentient and very controlling, as whatever this entity is, while it goes on to infect Logan, it speaks out into his mind, seeping down to his very core, inside of his adamantium bones themselves. It's like it's calling to him. No, it's not mind control or telepathy. It feels older, more primal. And Wolverine has always had amazing senses, very good ears specifically. He can always tell where a sound is coming from. But just before he passes out, he realizes that that ancient primal presence is coming from his very own bones, the adamantium. And here we finally get to understand a little bit more of whatever this entity is, this almost sentient metal, because as we will find out, no, it's not adamantium, but adamantine. Yes, they sound very similar. While one was discovered in a lab by a human scientist, trying to recreate the vibranium shield alloy for Captain America's shield. The other comes from a more divine origin. Adamantine was the very godly metal that was used on Olympus, and for whatever reason now, it has become very sentient, and it finds that adamantium is a mockery of itself, and so now it vows to destroy or at least control everyone or everything that it's a part of. Of course, starting with the super soldiers and other superpowered individuals in the Marvel Universe who use adamantium, which unfortunately includes Wolverine. But fortunately, right now the bonding process isn't complete. It is really only taken over Logan's mind for now. And fortunately, with Logan having one of the most potent willpowers in the Marvel Universe, he is able to fight through it, only if very briefly. But still, he is paralyzed, can't move, as he can literally do nothing but sit and watch as the two people, Constructor and Lady Deathstrike, are about to continue to infect Logan, fully taking him over, calling out to the metal that's in his very bones. He can't move his body, his eyes, his legs. All he can do right now is struggle silently for a few moments, but sometimes a few moments are just enough. As we see the same Wendigo from before, the one that Logan was taking care of, you know, the cursed child, eventually track Logan down, coming to his rescue last second. And so a giant battle and escape ensues, with the Wendigo trying to get Logan out of there to get to safety, and the other two corrupted adamantium users just behind them. But fortunately, being a Wendigo, he is very good at stealth, hiding, and hunting, which he is able to use to get Logan out of there for safety, at least for now, because as we will soon find out later, this is only the beginning of Logan's problems. But for now, as he sets him down on the field, Logan gets another lucky break as he looks up and sees the Blackbird, you know, the giant airship that the X-Men frequently use, piloted by Nightcrawler, who he called for help before. So with Wolverine finally out of immediate battle, fighting for his life, he finally has just a second to sit down and think about everything that just conspired. And you know, Logan isn't the smartest tool in the shed. Now, he's not dumb by any standards or means, but you know, he isn't any type of genius or anything. But even still, even he could put two and two together and finally see the similarities and whatever these people had in common. Because you know, Lady Deathstrike and the Constructor, two completely ends and sides of the villain spectrum, and the only thing they have in common is adamantium. But of course, that is only the very top of the iceberg for things that Logan needs answers for. And fortunately enough, the corrupted adamantium users gave off a certain type of energy signal, one that Nightcrawler can track using the Blackbird here, and eventually they end up 2 states away in another location where they pick up another signal. Somebody else also corrupted, possibly another adamantium user corrupted in the same way. And so with Nightcrawler and Logan finally heading down, they decide to split up, Nightcrawler using his teleportation and mobility to help and get survivors out of there, and Logan going in to finally confront what exactly or who exactly is causing all of this destruction and damage. And as we soon find out, this wasn't just some sort of accident or just random occurrence. No, this is very deliberate, because as Logan sniffs the air, he says he recognizes the scent. It's one of the chemicals that is used to synthesize adamantium, which of course is not a good sign at all. But we finally see the culprit behind this, Cyber, a different villain that Logan has ran into previously before, who he wound up beating, and once again is using adamantium within his body to make him stronger. But of course that silver adamantium is now gold adamantine. So Logan, just moments before escaping the hands of the other corrupted adamantium users, he once again finds himself in another direct path, with possibly him being corrupted this time as well. So Logan starts to do what he does best, charging in for a strike, but something stops him dead in his tracks. A message, a very specific one, written in straight blood, saying on the wall, "No more adamantium." And once more, Logan starts to put 2 and 2 together as he goes on to think someone's targeting everybody with adamantium in their body. And if that's the case, likely they attack this place to try to stop more from being made. But who? Why? It makes no sense. But as Logan charges once more to try and get answers, we see that his actions are futile, as Cyber simply holds out one hand, dropping Logan to his knees, almost like he's using the Force, as an ancient and primal voice speaks out from his body, saying, "You are deafened by the screeching of the false metal within you. You have not yet heard the call of the adamantine." And just then, the world around Logan disappears again. Whatever this ancient entity is now once again inside of his body, inside of his very bones, in the adamantium. But there is a difference this time, this time Logan is ready. He is prepared to fight and push back. As you know, I've said before, Logan's willpower when he wants to is off the charts. And he's actually successful. He's actually able to claw his way out of the vision or illusion or whatever it was. But it is hard to celebrate, as still, something deep inside of his head starts to pound like no other. Because as we will find out, Logan is so good at what he does, his willpower is so strong, that he is not just a target to be conquered and corrupted, but instead he's an asset to be used. Because as he collapses once more, we then see what's happening inside of his body again. This sentient ancient metal shifts as it thinks and contemplates, with it even going on to say, the other wielders of the false adamantium metal were weak, easily seized, but this one, Wolverine, is stronger, purer. Perhaps all of the true champions have not yet crumbled into dust. Perhaps the one called Wolverine could serve its purpose, but only after he is broken, as we see a shot of almost looking like the adamantium is being pulled from his very body. Every bit of his muscles, heart, brain being exposed as we see the adamantine finally take control. But we are left on this crazy cliffhanger as this issue and video comes to a close. So yeah, it looks like Wolverine is currently having to fight against an ancient sentient metal from Greek mythology, taking over the very adamantium in his own bones, which means possibly we might even get another arc of Wolverine with no adamantium. Now, of course, that isn't a new concept, but possibly this can be done in different ways, or maybe we will even see Logan with a power-up, now being a very powerful host of some very ancient and powerful Olympian metal. But if you have made it to the end this far, leave a like, or subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this. As always, this was the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.